Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Wasted Potential. I'm your host Ellie and I'm here with Agony Aunt Jack.
Hello!
In today's episode, Jack will be answering a number of questions from Yahoo, various Agony Aunts online and some of you guys. So before we begin, Jack, would you like to give us the running tally for what you've had to drink so far?
Okay, so I've had half a bottle of wine. It's a really nice wine. We used it in a stew and had some left over. I've had a little glass of Baileys, like a shot of Baileys. And I've also had a shot of Sambuca, which is a full unit in one of those. And I haven't eaten anything since 11 o'clock, so that'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to this.
He was also drunk yesterday, which will be interesting.
I was also drunk yesterday. I had a lot of cider.
Your poor liver.
Yeah, it's past like the point of no return. I think it's fine. It's fine.
All right. Would you like a question?
Yes. Let's get straight into it.
Go straight into it. So this is a submitted question, so not just one I found online. So give it your best answer. I believe in you.
Right.
I'm an actor by trade, but I'm still just getting my foot in the door, which means that most of what I can access is unpaid until I can get myself on some agency books. The problem this brings is that obviously I need a job to earn a wage, but the jobs in order to earn enough are massively inflexible with hours, which makes taking those unpaid opportunities is incredibly difficult. I'm at a bit of a loss as to where to go with this catch-22 and could use some external input.
That's very difficult.
Yep.
Especially for a drunk person. What I would say to that is, I think really, if this is what you actually want to do, you've got to stick with it. And the most difficult thing there is because you need the money to survive. So perhaps you should try and find a job that will be at least relatively flexible with hours, maybe a sort of part-time contract sort of thing like you'd get in retail sometimes, because I think a lot of people have this attitude of once they're in a job, they're like, right, I've got the job, I must stick with it because it's giving me income and that's what I need to survive. But there may be better offers out there, so always keep your ear to the ground when you're in a job. Even if you feel comfortable and secure there, I think it's great to just keep eyes out for other potential avenues of employment, because that could be a door into somewhere which would be much more flexible.
Yeah.
I am in no state to give real life advice in this situation. I'm sure everyone understands that, but I guess my suggestion would be to keep looking for more jobs that would be more flexible. Hang on to the job that you have now because you need to live, but stick to the acting definitely, because what you really need to do is build up that portfolio. And obviously, if at the moment this job isn't lenient enough that you can get to the roles that you want to be in, you still need the money. But as soon as you find something which is more suitable for you, jump onto that. And yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, because I kind of like in a bit of a similar situation to this person. Not really, I'm not an actor, I'm a student. And I'm looking for jobs, but the problem is a lot of them have very inflexible hours.
Yeah.
So it's quite hard to work around going to lectures and working.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there are part-time jobs out there that will accommodate your hours. You might have to look a little bit harder, but rather than like trying to find a full-time job that will accommodate it, look for part-time jobs, even if it's more than one.
I know quite a few people who are working while they're at uni just because they need to stay afloat. And I think retail is probably the best place to be, because you can work on a Tuesday afternoon and a Wednesday morning if you don't have lectures then. Just finding a place that will be accepting enough to take the hours that you can do, and then you can just do them. I suppose, though, the problem with acting is that, and I could be completely wrong with this, but I think that the calls come when the calls come, so you don't actually know, as with a student, when your lectures are going to be. Yeah. You don't know when you're going to be called up to do your acting, to do
at
your
any
bit.
time.
Yeah, exactly. So that element of just not knowing when you're going to be is that could be a problem. But I hope we've helped.
Or at least kind of confirmed that, yeah, it's not a fun situation to be in.
Absolutely, no. I feel your pain. That is difficult. I've never had to be in a similar situation. I work for my university. They pay me to teach because I'm relatively good at programming at this stage. So I teach the first and the second years how to program, and they pay me for that, so that's good. And it fits within my hours because I just tell the office, look, I have a lecture now, so I can't do it. And they're like, yeah, cool. So that's good.
Yeah, I had a job with the uni last year. I vlogged for the uni and got paid for it. So
vlogged, neat.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's almost easier if you're in uni to find little jobs like that, but...
Yeah, that's right.
I'm assuming this person isn't, so
that's the clincher. That's the trouble. Yeah. I mean, no one said we were going to be of any help. So.
There is a reason this podcast is called Wasted Potential.
Yep.
Okay, on to the next one.
Yes.
My friends are on every social media platform, sharing their whole lives from what they eat for breakfast to late night selfies with pets. I feel uncomfortable sharing so much, but I feel left out. Should I just join them?
This is another interesting one. I am not the kind of person to share a huge amount on social media. My Facebook is pretty much dead. My Twitter is dead. I've never posted anything to Instagram, that kind of thing. I'm not a big social media person. I'm always kind of on it, just keeping up with mostly people that I follow, people that I'm interested in what they're doing. And for communication, like I use Messenger all the time, but
so do I.
really, I don't use social media a lot, and I get along fine. And people do like post so much stuff, and there's always things online that I'm like, I don't really care that you had chicken tikka masala for lunch. I mean, good for you, I guess. And I just scroll over it, and it never affects my life, so I never feel the need to do anything similar.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do actually. I totally sympathize with the person who's posting this, because I do feel that, maybe I should have a bit more of a presence. But then I think about it some more, and I'm like, it's not that important. I think that with your friends, what is important is that you can be able to communicate with them person to person and just be a good friend without having to be very active on social media and put up pictures of your morning or your evening or your dinner or whatever. I don't think that is... Everyone is welcome to do that, but your willingness not to engage in that doesn't really speak volumes about you as a person. I think that's a personal choice that you can just do what you're comfortable with, and I'm sure that your friends will accept that is who you are as a person. If I flip it on its head, it's like, if anyone said to you, like, I'm your friend, but you never post on social media, and unless you start doing that, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. That's not the kind of friend that you want.
Absolutely not. Get rid of them.
And that takes it to the other end of the spectrum. But I think your friends, if they want to post on social media, go ahead and let them. And if you don't want to, that's fine. You don't have to really get involved to still be friends with them, I don't think. I've never felt the need to. I hope that you're in the same boat.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I think it's a very interesting question, because obviously I have quite a lot of social medias, but I don't run them as myself, if that makes sense. So my Facebook is basically dead. I interact with people on Facebook, but I don't post like a lot of personal stuff. And the same with things like Twitter, Tumblr, etc.
Yeah.
They're not very personal.
Right.
And maybe I don't know why, I've just never, like in your book, I've just never felt the need for it. But I think what this person says, they say they feel uncomfortable sharing so much that they start to feel left out. But maybe what they can do, if they could just share a little and see if that feels okay to them. Because you
check
don't
into a couple places. Yeah. If you go out and have a nice meal, I don't know, let people know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And it's more important to interact with your friends' posts than I think it is for you to make your own posts in this situation. Like I said, I don't have big of a presence on Facebook, but I'm always there, like liking people's stuff and acknowledging them. I think it's more important to acknowledge on social media than to have to join in. Yeah.
Always just do what you're comfortable with. Don't feel that you need to overstep your comfort zone just to feel like you need to fit in. Because if you're doing that, you're not going to be happy, and the people you're interacting with aren't going to be happy. It'll just end up badly. So just, do what you're comfortable with, and if you feel that you have to exit that zone to feel like you need to fit in, then I don't know, get new friends.
Yeah. I mean, also, it raises a very interesting point. I mean, you're a computer scientist, so you'll have an opinion on this. But about the kind of the culture of oversharing on social media and oversharing just on the internet in general, and about how it can be a little bit dangerous. I'm not saying you're going to die from a stalker if you keep putting selfies on. I'm not saying that. But I thought it was a very interesting comment that a family member made once, where because their friends' privacy settings weren't put up, their timeline was filled with pictures of children who they didn't know, but they knew because a friend. The reason they were up was because a friend knew them, and their privacy settings weren't up. And it's just like things like that. I think social media is something that you need to be very careful with about sharing.
You absolutely do. And it goes beyond like the privacy of just your home life, because we had a series of lectures, cybersecurity fundamentals, there was a session that was spent looking at these guys who can spend a day, 2 days trawling your social media and then be able to attack most of your passwords. They'll be able to figure them out just by looking at who you are as a person and running a few like little tools that they have, dictionary attacks and things like that. And if you don't share quite as much, you're less vulnerable. And that's not to say that the people who are always on social media are an impending risk, that they're in danger. But that you do have to be very careful about what you share and what you're making available to the public, which is what social media really is, because a lot of this stuff, you may think it's inaccessible, that it's private, but you have to be very careful because you don't know who you're interacting with and what their privacy settings are and what they are willing to share with other people. So it's like, if you consider social media to be a safe space, you need to really, really look at who is actually involved in that safe space. And if they consider it to be the same way, you have to be very careful. Because
there's that saying, isn't it, that once it's online, it's there forever.
Yeah.
You can't actually delete something off the internet.
Absolutely, yeah. I can confirm that, because even Google keeps records of images that have popped up in searches and things. So you can delete it from your Facebook, delete it from your Tumblr and your Instagram, Twitter, whatever, but it will still be in some kind of a record, some kind of a history, because, well, that does make things convenient so that Google can find it quickly, but obviously that's not what you want in a situation where you're trying to remove something, but that message doesn't get conveyed. So, be very, very careful.
Yep. So we've told this person how they should feel and then lectured them on internet security.
Yes.
So they're in a good
Be
place.
Afraid.
Let's do another one.
Yep.
So this is another one that was submitted to us. Last night I was researching the famous cryptid? That's how you pronounce it, isn't it?
Yeah, cryptid.
Cryptid Mothman.
I know who this is.
Shh, they're all anonymous.
Shh. Yeah.
On his wiki it said, witnesses have described him as having a vibe of pure evil. The next line said, his walk has been described as a penguin-like shuffle. And I laughed out loud. A second later, some bins were knocked over and something landed on the roof. I have mocked and subsequently angered the Mothman and believe him to be out for my blood. How should I proceed? Any advice would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, so Mothman defenses. You've got to be aware that your opponent is a flying cryptid, so you've got to be wary of that. I would put barbed wire on your windows.
I mean, you could start by apologising to Mothman.
No, it's too far for that, Ellie.
It's too far. He knocked over a few bins, so...
Yeah. Right, he's in your zone. Like, that is a threat out and out. You've got to be careful now. What I would say is, every time you leave the house, every time you go to school, you go to the shop, you go to, I don't know, the library, wherever you end up going, keep an eye on the skies, because Mothman's after you. Always arm yourself, not with anything dangerous, though, because that you could get arrested. So Actually, maybe don't arm yourself.
Aren't moths like attracted to light? That's a thing, isn't it?
Ellie, you've hit the nail on the head. Whenever you get home, make sure all the lights are off.
And then, like,
And
have a
Mothman-
massive spotlight beaming somewhere else.
Yeah, like a bat
attract
signal,
Mothman.
but for the Mothman. Yeah, that's right. Avoid all light sources whenever you can. From my memory of moths, they do show up in the daytime, but they're always a bit sluggish because that's their nighttime.
Yeah, check your closet.
Yeah, check your closet. Mothballs! Mothballs everywhere. Put mothballs in your pockets, in your bag, in your house. If anyone questions you, just say it's because of Mothman and they'll understand.
They definitely won't think you're crazy.
Invest in a huge net. Maybe if you have like a trampoline in the back garden, you could slice it up into ribbons and use that as a net.
He's 7 feet tall, so it'd have to be a very big net.
Exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. It needs to be enormous. You've got to really put the effort in for this one. Of course, this is about trapping Mothman. If you're not interested in trapping Mothman, then mothballs and no light.
Just accept you cannot kill Mothman.
Yeah.
He will hunt you for the rest of your days.
Yeah, I don't think you can kill Mothman, which is why using a weapon, as I previously suggested, is pretty pointless. Don't do that, and you will be arrested. So don't do that. But maybe if you want to try and put some big nets nearby, Mothman might fly into them. A big net and a big bulb. There you go.
Yeah. What you've got to do is you've got to do like a net trap. So you lay out the net. And then you shine like a really strong spotlight onto it. And as soon as Mothman steps in it, the trap triggers. And now you have a Mothman in a net.
Absolutely, yeah. That's how you do it. That's what you do. Yeah. Problem solved.
I mean, it could just be the cats, like, knocking over your bins.
It's possible that you haven't angered a Mothman.
You just angered a few pigeons.
Yeah. How dare you? But anyway, next question.
Keeping on this theme of cryptids. Am I saying it right? I'd never know.
I think it's cryptid, yeah.
It's a cryptid.
Yeah, cryptid.
Yell at me over social media if it's wrong.
What's the alternative? Cryptid?
Cryptide.
Cryptide. Oh man, the latest cryptide that I heard about.
It's a
Sorry,
tide.
keeping on the theme of cryptides.
It's a tide pod.
Deadly.
Keeping on the theme.
Yep.
Dear Aunt Jack, I eat mushrooms and berries, but it's been mistakenly reported I eat babies. How do I go about addressing this misinformation?
Okay, first of all, don't show yourself to humanity because they'll make a really big deal out of it for no reason. So you've got to stay obscured. What I would say is create a gift basket. I'm sure you can manage that, of maybe mushrooms and berries, and make a little sign which says that it's from you. And then, right, here's the real clincher. You've got to take it to a part of the country where you would never usually go. And make sure you're not spotted, because then people will know who you are. You leave it in a little area where people are likely to find it, and this gift basket of nuts and berries and mushrooms, and it says, "Dear people, I don't eat babies. Here is a gift for you. Lots of love," and then put your name in there. And that way, people will know, and they will be more inclined to believe you because they're full of berries. But an important point, make sure that they're berries that humans can eat. Otherwise, you will poison them, and that will
have a negative effect.
Yeah, the opposite message. So that's what I would suggest that you do. See, the thing, like, if you actually don't eat babies, and I'm sure you don't, you just need to... I think you just need to tell people, really, so they understand. But obviously it's difficult to do that when you are in such a state that I assume that you are, and you would prefer to remain in said state that you are in. So you need to do it by proxy, and the proxy is the gift basket and the sign. So that's what you do. That's how you solve the problem.
Also,
You're welcome.
avoid John Marston.
Yeah, avoid John Marston. He's ruthless. He never even asks questions like a scientist would. Probably would. I don't know. Maybe a scientist would gut you, but I don't know.
I think a scientist would probably faint.
Yeah.
Just they saw a Sasquatch and they're like, oh my god, what the hell is this? But yeah, so gift basket.
Gift basket full of nuts and berries and mushrooms, but ones that humans can eat. I don't know how you would test that. I guess just watch them and see which ones they eat. And if they die, don't give them those ones. Give them the other ones.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Maybe just... I was going to say give them mushrooms, then I realised, no, mushrooms can be poisonous as well.
You gotta watch some humans from a distance.
Humans can eat blackberries. Give us blackberries.
Give them just like a whole basket of blackberries. How good? That would be great.
Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah.
Give them a basket of blackberries.
Yeah.
Just to address this fake news.
Problem solved. I once bought a punnet of mushrooms for £1 that was like the size of... It was enormous, but I got it from the farmer's market, so it was £1.
Oh, damn, nice.
Yeah, find the farmer's market near you and
find a farmer's market.
Mushrooms. Yeah.
Buy some blackberries.
Blackberries and mushrooms.
And leave them in a random village.
Wear an overcoat so that no one knows who you are. That's what I did.
Jack is officially a Sasquatch.
Yeah. Y'all ain't never seen me before.
Well, I mean...
Just my face, which I shaved 5 minutes before. I don't know. Yeah, cool. Next question.
Do.
That's not a question.
It's me finding one. Okay. Yeah. What's the best way to get a date with someone?
Oh, wow. That's a very good question. It really depends on the person. See, I got a date with someone once in fact, 3 years ago today. Not today, actually. It was like, no, it was before Valentine's. I don't know. When was it? The 10th? I don't know. 3 years ago, I got a message from someone who was a bit drunk, and they said, hey, with lots of E's. So it was like, hey, do you want to come out tonight? And I was like, what am I doing? I could play Assassin's Creed, but I have finished Assassin's Creed, so I'm just like finding Animus fragments. It was Black Flag back then, because it was a long time ago. Then I said, yeah, sure, whatever. So I got dressed, because, well, I wasn't... Anyway, I got dressed, and I went out, and I met this person at the QMU, which is the Queen Margaret Union, at our university. We've got two, because we then went to the GUU, which is the Glasgow University Union. Fun fact, they made the QMU because they wouldn't allow women into the GUU at first. So they made the Queen Margaret for just women to use. And now, obviously, they let in both, because that would probably be illegal if they didn't. But the QMU has always been my spiritual favourite. I don't know. I went there, and this person was there, and then we sort of went around, and we went to Polo, which is a club in Glasgow, and had a very good night. And 3 years later, it's our anniversary today.
Oh, today? When we're recording?
Today, yeah, while we're recording. She's behind me, laying on the bed.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Ellie says happy anniversary. She said... what?
Because I'm a terrible person. I'm making Jack record on his anniversary.
It's fine. Well, see, we're taking a very holistic approach to it because we're both very busy at the moment. So we're just we're going to spend the next week or so hanging out whenever we can and stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah, a chill time.
So what you're saying?
The thing is that I'm not very good at dating. So okay. Asking someone on a date, I think, this is the way it goes for me personally. I would have to know them quite well, have to be friends with them already. Know what they like, know what they don't like. Know that they're allergic to seafood, for example, which is something that I did have to learn. And things like that. And then I guess you hang out with them as much as possible. And asking someone out on a date doesn't need to be a big deal. You know, if there's someone you spend a significant amount of time with in the first place, then you can just say to them, you know, after this, do you want to just grab a drink from somewhere nearby? You know, and that is a date.
Though, do make it clear if you intend for the get together to have romantic connotations. Do tell them you want it to have romantic connotations.
Well, see, in my opinion,
because otherwise, then it's just a meetup. Or
right, but
you're forcing another person into a date that they don't want to be in.
I don't know. My question is, what's the difference? Oh, okay, so assuming that the difference is that if it's a date, there's romantic connotations, and if it's a meetup, then there's none.
Yeah.
See, this is tough. This is where we start to differ, because I would say, you know, any kind of a meetup with someone that you think maybe you fancy, that it doesn't necessarily have to be a date, but that is how you get to know them better, and that's how you spend quality individual time with them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, but I think you have to be always careful with dates, with like because like, you know, I've friends have been in situations where they, you know, went out to like the cinema with a guy or someone.
Yeah.
And, you know,
only to discover.
Yeah, and then like they kind of ignored it and like, well, not ignored it, you know, when this was a great time, thank you for this, whatever. And then, you know, like went to the cinema with someone else and did stuff like that, and the first person got really jealous and was like, but we went on a date. And it's like,
right,
don't be a dick.
Yeah, so you do need to be careful about that. You either, while you're on the date, or maybe I think it would have to be before the date. You'd have to say, look, I'm in. But okay.
No, but I think you could do it at the end and say, you know, like, do you want this to be a date? Not in that crass way. This is a date. I don't know.
That's what I would say.
But you know, like.
Also, did you just say crass? Oh,
I did. Crass.
Of you.
I meant crass.
It's crass.
Crass. It's a very crass way.
Don't you know?
Jesus.
Take me to the races and then ask me if it's a date. How crass. Okay, so this whole territory is just, I think it's very much dictated by the individual, by how you feel about it and how they feel about it, and really you just need to gauge that. I would say that the best way to get on a date with someone is ask them out for a drink, and if it turns out that they're not interested in you that way, then it's just a fun meetup, and you're going to have to deal with that, I'm afraid. Like, if you push it, you become a creepy bastard. Just know that, okay? That's how you lose friends, and that person then goes and tells all their friends, like, oh, they're a creepy bastard, and then all their friends will be like, he's a creepy bastard. That's very difficult to live down. I'm not speaking from personal experience, and I'm going to put that out there.
I was going to say, that was getting a bit personal, Jack. Should I be afraid that you're a creepy bastard?
No. I'm the opposite of a creepy bastard. I'm a beepy crasted. That's what I am. Right, so, look, at the end of the day, you've got to be polite and accepting of the other person's feelings and opinions. You know, if you decide, I'll take this person out for drinks, even if you pay, maybe you feel some kind of entitlement. You don't have any entitlement. Okay,
agreed.
If you pay, that's your own decision. You pay for their drinks and they have a nice time. If they then tell you that it's not for them, they don't feel about you that way, it's not like it's wasted time. You can still be friends with them, you know, and maybe you'll always feel a little bit bitter about it, but you've just got to accept that that's not what they're interested in. That's not what they're about. And trying to give yourself more chances by constantly aggravating this and, you know, making a big deal about it, that's only going to hurt you and your relationship with this person. So be respectful and reasonable, and I think things will just fall into place if it's meant to be. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, what's the best way to get a date with someone? Just ask them out on a date.
Absolutely. Yeah, ask them out on a date. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Don't be afraid, like, because I get it, especially as a girl, which, you know, it's awkward, especially asking a boy out on a date, because it's not seen as the right thing to do, which is BS, by the way.
It is BS.
And you also, like, you're afraid of rejection, but, like, you will get rejected sometimes. Other times you won't get rejected.
Yeah.
You've just got to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, don't be afraid of rejection.
Yeah, I mean, rejection is just part of the parcel. You've got to put yourself out there, and there's a chance that it'll work, there's a chance that it won't, and you've got to accept it either way.
Mm-hmm.
So just roll with the punches and enjoy the high points. That's what I would suggest.
Fair enough. Okay, so next question. How do you make a stray cat love you?
How do you make a stray cat love you? Okay, so there's a lot of things to consider here. First of all, that cat has had a life, which you don't really know what that is. Maybe it had a loving family at one point and ended up separated from them for some reason. I don't know. But all, like, cats have personalities like people do. They have things they like, things they don't like, and stuff they're comfortable with, stuff they're not. I think that's the very first thing to be wary of, is don't offend the cat by doing something that it hates. The trouble is knowing what it hates. If you do something to a cat and it clearly hates it, then, well, don't do that again, I guess. But I suppose the problem you face is that cat will hate you forever now. Bad luck. There's a thing that I heard about cats, that they have very poor object permanence, that they don't really understand if you've left the flat to go to work that you're ever coming back.
See, I've heard that before. I'm not sure how much I believe it.
No, me neither. I don't know. I've never had a cat because I'm allergic to them, so I don't really know.
I've had cats all my life, so I like to think I have some experience.
Here's one thing I have heard about cats that I believe, and the difference between cats and dogs is that dogs see you as a different entity. Like, a human is a human and a dog is a dog, whereas a cat sees you as just a weird cat.
Yeah.
And that's why they bring you dead animals. They're trying to teach you how to hunt. They're like, you don't fucking know how to hunt. Let me show you. Here, look, here's this dead rat, you know? You got to eat that, because otherwise you'll die. Here, eat it. And a dog won't do that to you. Like, if a dog brings you a dead rat, it's just like, look at this cool thing I found. Or something.
To be fair, cats do that too.
Yeah, no,
it's
fair
like,
enough.
Look what I've killed, and it's like, oh, not again, Daisy.
Oh, fucking hell, Daisy. Get a life as not an assassin. Jesus. Anyway. Right, so the question was how to make a stray cat love you.
Yeah.
I suppose, once again, this kind of depends on context of, like, have you brought this cat into your home? In which case, maybe don't.
Maybe take the cat back outside your home.
Yeah. That cat might have an owner, you know?
Yeah.
That cat might actually belong to a household and they're just, like, roaming because they're adventurous. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, stray is a bit of an odd term. Do they mean it's a feral cat? As in,
if it's feral,
street?
like, keep a wide berth.
Oh, no, feral cats... yeah, well, be very, very careful.
Absolutely.
But,
just...
So, when I went to Spain, I stayed in a villa, and Spain has a lot more feral cats than we do in the UK. Like, we don't have many feral cats, or, like, not to the great extent. So, this villa in Spain, there were, like, 30 feral cats that would just hang around.
Jesus.
You know,
I would shit myself.
They're
like,
adorable, because they're scared.
Nah.
They're scared of humans.
I'm fucking
you would
scared
die.
of cats.
You're allergic,
just...
so and the trick is, like, I did manage to befriend some of them, and these are cats that, like, will not let humans touch you, and I managed to, like, play with one of them. And the trick is, I always found is, if you're not in a public place, do not do this in a public place. But is get low on the ground, so you're not, like, hulking above the cat.
Okay, hang on. Before you continue, how low are we talking here? Are you crouching or are you actually on your belly?
Crouching. I was on my belly, but
okay.
Crouching.
Okay, right, you were. Okay. No,
crouching
good,
works better. I was in a private place. I was allowed to, like, lie on the ground like cats love me. And then, like, sometimes just hold your hand out and then just stay there. Like, that's the trick. You have to be patient and let the cat know that it can approach you and you won't hurt it.
Oh my God. I've just realised that level of research that went into Assassin's Creed Origins is through the roof yet again. Because that's what you have to do in that game as well.
Yeah.
You just got to chill and wait for the cat to come to you.
Yeah, no. You wait for cats to come to you. It's different with cats with a home. Because a lot of the time, especially if it's a home with a lot of people, they won't mind you approaching them. They may get a bit funny if you touch them, but with a feral cat is usually terrified of humans, or just has a bad experience. So you just have to be very patient. You let the cat reach you first. And you let it sniff your hand, because a lot of people go straight for the petting. Don't do that. Yeah, absolutely. Don't do that.
Just like that film, How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes.
You know?
It really is.
Toothless is a big cat.
The guy based it off his cat.
That shows, that's deliberate in the film, I think. Anyway.
The guy based it off his cat, which I thought was adorable.
That's brilliant. John Powell did the music for that. John Powell's amazing, by the way. He did Chicken Run as well, which is...
That's a classic.
Go listen to the Chicken Run soundtrack. It is absolutely banging. It's great. Anyway.
I haven't watched Chicken Run for years.
I watched it a little while ago when I was drunk with Rachel and Alex, who's a friend of ours. That is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I just need to clarify something about this whole thing. When you say feral cat, what are you talking about in that situation?
A wild cat.
A wild cat. See, I take feral to mean it's got rabies.
No. I mean, they sometimes are very, very ill.
Yeah, there's some overlap.
But no. A feral cat is literally just a cat that lives outdoors and has little to no human contact. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a bit unfair they're given the name feral.
I don't know why I associate feral with rabies. But,
well, because that's what it's usually used to mean, and because a lot of feral...
really? It's just different in the case of cats.
Well, it's what people use... Like, people who don't like cats, it's how they will describe them. They, put a very negative association to feral.
It's fucking feral.
And the thing is, a lot of feral cats do have rabies and do have a lot of illnesses because, because there's a lot of organisations that are out there and they catch feral cats and treat them and then release them.
Yeah. Can you treat a rabid cat?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Can you treat a rabid dog?
Yeah.
Why did Atticus shoot that one then? In To Kill a Mockingbird? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not important. He shot it in the eye. It was grim. To Kill a Mockingbird is a great book, though. Everyone should read it.
It is a wonderful book. Maybe don't.
Apparently, the sequel was
the
not
sequel's
as good.
not great. Apparently, yeah.
I've not read it, so I don't know. Everyone was just up in arms because, actually, Atticus is a racist. I don't know. That's what I got out of it, so I didn't read it.
On to the next one.
Next question.
Okay. How do you get yourself out of a backlog of games/movies/books?
Wow, that's a brilliant question. I suppose the fundamental, bottom line answer is I don't. I've got such a backlog right now. Movies I want to watch. I've got a ton of movies and games and things that I need to watch and play and so on. Books to read, yes. My problem is that as a student, your work is never really done. That's what I feel, is that you leave university, you finish your lectures, you get home, and there's always coursework or a project to work on or some revision to do, and it never ends. Whereas during the summer, for the past 2 summers, I've done just a standard 9-to-5 job. And God, it is so much easier to get things done. I think there's probably a stigma around students. Oh, students don't do anything. Students are useless. They're layabouts and stuff. But we work bloody hard, and there's never an end point. You just have to keep going. You finish one thing, and you're good, I can relax. But there's always, in the back of your mind, there's that other deadline that's coming up, that you just have to... You're going to have to address that at some point. Whereas with my 9-to-5 job, for both of them, I've worked really hard at work, and I've left work, and have not had to think about it at all. And maybe I've thought about a problem that I was tackling and maybe put some thought towards it, maybe looked up some stuff, but never spent hours and hours actually doing research or doing coursework type stuff, So my advice is to get a 9-to-5 job that doesn't suck up all your external hours. But genuinely, I look forward to not being a student anymore, because I do love this, being a student. I do love being a master's student on the cutting edge of research and doing big projects that actually relate to what I'm interested in. And maybe you won't get that in a 9-to-5 job, but at least when you leave at the end of the day, your time is yours and you can do whatever you want. So that is how I feel about it.
Oh, I'm screwed then. The job I want to do in the future would involve taking work home.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
that's not...
the real way to get yourself out of a backlog of games / movies / books is to stop buying new ones.
Fair enough.
Stop
in
it.
my defense, in my situation, there's 2 games I need to play. Death of the Outsider, the Dishonored standalone DLC. I'm not sure why it's a standalone. But anyway, and I've also got to play Prey, which I'm super looking forward to. It looks amazing, and I really want to get into it. But both of them were gifts. My sister's got me those
No.
for Christmas. So I had no choice in the matter.
No, I'm the same. I've had Dragon Age Inquisition for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
I've finished the main story. I've finished one of the DLC. I have all of the DLC and stuff, and that's it. And I've got about 100 Steam games that I haven't finished.
Oh my god. So, thanks to Humble Bundle,
God, it's the worst. It's the best.
So many Steam games that I've just never even played.
Same.
So that hurts.
Don't look on Humble Bundle ever.
The game I was most recently playing was Assassin's Creed Origins, and I finished the main story before I got busy, and now I'm busy, and I've got the DLC because I got the season pass to begin with, and it's just sitting there waiting for me to play it, and, I'm looking forward to it, to getting involved in it, but I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
So I completely understand the idea of a backlog. I've totally got a backlog at the moment, and I feel like I need to finish that before I can move on to Prey or Death of the Outsider and so on. So that, it's difficult. It is hard. But I would suggest, if you're a student, fuck you. Like, there's no help. You're done for.
And this is coming from 2 students, so we mean this lovingly.
Yeah. If you're not a student, I'm sure you will be able to find the time, to when you're not working on your work and you're not working on like personal sort of bookkeeping stuff that you need to do. I know I already recommended that you look for a job outside of your current job in your free time, but don't let that take up your life. So if you're working like a 9-to-5 job, you should be able to find time to pick away at these things that you've got. It won't necessarily go quickly. I think over the summer I played 2 games. I played Kingdoms of Amalur, finished that up.
Oh, I still haven't finished that game. I'm actually useless.
But in the 9-to-5 job, I was able to play Kingdoms of Amalur, just putting in an hour, a couple of hours a night, and having that as a nice unwind sort of exercise. And I also managed to play Batman, one of the Batman games. Which one was it? Arkham Origins, which
fair enough.
Maybe was a mistake. But no, it was all right. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed playing it. I haven't done all of the side quests because fuck that. But yeah, I think in a 9-to-5 job you can find the hours. If you've got some free time, you can spend it chipping away at this backlog. Unless you have a really long commute time or something, which shame. That's a shame. Look for a better job. I don't know. I'm
get
not
a Kindle.
Situations. Get a what?
Get a Kindle.
Get a Kindle.
Or get the Kindle app on your phone, because then if you're commuting by bus or by train, you could just spend an hour reading.
Yeah, I've got a story relating to that because I used to commute a couple of summers ago when I was working in East Kilbride, which is about... So I had to take a train to Glasgow Central and then a train to East Kilbride, and the train to East Kilbride was half an hour, and there was 4 other interns would all meet up at the station and get the same train and so on, because they only went every hour. But I would just sit there on the train. I would say good morning to everyone, say how you doing, had a good night last night, cap it off at 5 minutes, and then just read. That was what I did. And they would still be talking. I would be reading my book with the occasional chip in if something was interesting. But that's kind of what I did on my commute.
And on that lonely, lonely story about Jack's life,
yep,
we will end this podcast here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. And as
Thank
always,
you.
We want to hear from you. So feel free to tweet us any questions or any comments at Silvercrow Inc. on Twitter. Silvercrow Media on Tumblr, Silvercrow Media on YouTube, and I think that's... and check us out on Twitch / Silvercrow Media for our D&D
Fledgling
live
tales.
streams.
Yeah,
Yes, for
our
Fledgling
fledgling
Tales.
Good.
So thank you for being a wonderful audience, and we will see you next time.
Bye.